proving a God exists is actually pretty easy.
Yeah, of course it is. Is that why so many people have done exactly that? Oh no, wait, they haven't, have they? Please subscribe.
Do you think that the New Testament and its stories about Jesus could be made up?
Just the New Testament? What about the rest of the Bible? I mean, it's all so believable, isn't it? A worldwide flood that somehow managed to leave no evidence at all? A talking, burning bush? Again, sounds legit to me. Parting of the Red Sea. These are all things we see on a daily basis, aren't they?
We've covered quite a few miles since the start of our trip. We saw that agnosticism isn't the neutral option most people think it is.
Who says it's a neutral opinion? All agnosticism is somebody saying they haven't seen anything that makes them believe God is real. You say God is real, an agnostic says, can you prove it? You say no, even though you seem to think you can, but if you were honest with yourself, you would accept that you can't. And the agnostic says, well, I don't believe you then. It's not that hard to follow. Agnostic atheists aren't trying to be neutral, they just aren't convinced that God exists.
Then as we continued, we made the case for Christian theism and why it makes sense in light of the beliefs that reality demands.
It makes sense in spite of what reality demands. So what you're saying then is that even though the Bible and all its stories completely contradict what reality is, you still believe it. Can't you see the issue here? Most people that believe or accept anything do so on the basis of the evidence that they're presented with for that thing. Why is God the exception? Now, most young earth bozos say that God is real because the Bible says he is, and completely ignore the fact that there is not a single shred of evidence to support any of it.
That conclusion, therefore, disqualifies any need to consider atheism.
What conclusion? That makes no sense at all. So are you saying that atheism doesn't matter as long as you can live in blissful ignorance by believing the Bible in spite of the fact, and these are your words, not mine, in spite of the beliefs that reality demands? That spells it out right there. You know that what you believe has no basis in reality at all.
If we know that God exists, then there's no sense in examining a belief system that claims that he doesn't.
Slow down, big boy. Standing there all manly with a dirty rag in your hand trying to be relatable. Now look, I am getting fed up of saying this, but I will say it again. Atheism is not now, nor has it ever been, a belief system. Atheism by definition is the lack of belief in a God or gods. Don't take it personally. We don't just not believe in the Christian God, we don't believe in any of them, because there is absolutely no evidence showing that any of them are real. Now there are around 3,000 gods to choose from. You don't believe in 2,999 of them, and for atheists, it's just one more. So why is it that you can, while believing in the God of the Bible, not believe in the other 2,099, and that's fine, but when an atheist says that they don't believe in just one more, so that's all 3,000, that's a bad thing? Seems a little bit hypocritical to me. And of course, you don't see any point in examining a belief system that says he doesn't. So maybe you should look at other religions that actually have their own beliefs, you know, like Hinduism, for example, because they don't believe in your God either, and just accept the fact that atheism isn't what you claim it is.
Basically, proving a God exists is actually pretty easy.
So why has nobody ever been able to do it then? And please don't use the Bible as your proof, or I am gonna do the rest of this video naked.
You might be thinking, hold up, John, you're just assuming that the Bible is a reliable source of belief.
Yes, John, you are. Unless, of course, you can demonstrate otherwise, which I highly doubt. Every young earth creationist I've come across on YouTube uses the same line of thinking. God is real because the Bible says God is real. But you fail to see that that could also apply to Harry Potter or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Are they both real historical characters? Because they would have to be, right? Or is the Bible the only fictional storybook that must be taken literally? And talking about Star Wars, how come it says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but somehow it's in the future? We don't have any of that technology now in 2022. Anyway, back to my new friend John.
And you're right. Thanks for paying attention.
Well, you are very welcome, John. I am paying attention. Are you?
You noticed that we didn't demonstrate that the Bible is a reliable source of belief.
Yay! He's right. I did notice that. And now I am confused as to what exactly he's gonna claim proves the existence of God.
I mean, should we trust the whole Bible just because it shares a few similarities with reality?
Okay, I'll keep an open mind for now. What similarities though, apart from the fact that the Bible mentions people and places?
Listen, No book in history has been dissected and disputed more than the Bible.
That's because no book in history is making such bold claims and simultaneously claiming to be historically accurate. For a book to be considered a historical text, it has to have historical information in it. And whilst I know that the Bible claims to tell stories from a long time ago, that certainly doesn't make it an accurate historical record, because nothing in it can be substantiated.
But you're probably still skeptical. So we're going to take a look at a key section of the Bible that, if true, can prove this whole thing is trustworthy.
And there we have it. I'm John, the average relatable guy, just working on his car, and definitely not claiming that the Bible proves God is real. But now we need to look at the Bible to prove God is real.
To do this, we'll consider 5 reasons why the New Testament gospel accounts are real and trustworthy documents.
But they aren't, John! The Bible is a collection of religious texts and or scriptures, sacred in Christianity, and that's fine, if you take it for what it is. Have you ever watched a movie, a fictional movie, and it made you feel really good? I know I have. Why can't the Bible just be that? Why do so many young earth creationists have to take it all so literally, while leaving out the bits they don't like, of course? You know, the bits about slavery, violence, rape, all that kind of stuff, and all under the direction of your God. You never hear a single young earth creationist make any reference to any of those parts of the Bible, do you? I wonder why that is.
Why does believing such a small section of the Bible help us believe the whole thing?
Well, it doesn't, but go on.
There are 3 things about the Gospels we know. They were written very soon after the life of Jesus Christ. Now, that means that myth did not have time to develop.
Seriously? There's no time limit on a myth or a mythter. Hi, Matt. If I say right now in this video that I'm the god of YouTube, that's a myth and no time has passed. Because I'm not. I just made it up. Myths are specific accounts of gods or superhuman beings involved in extraordinary events or circumstances in a time that is unspecified, but which is understood as existing apart from ordinary human experience. And what that means is not real or didn't really happen. Now, I can't help but notice that whichever young earth creationist I look at on YouTube, they all have something in common. And I don't mean enough blind faith to sink a ship. I mean the fact that they are all so willing to lie to themselves and everyone around them without skipping a heartbeat, but they forget lying is a sin, according to their own Bible. Or do you actually know that the Bible isn't real or of any moral value whatsoever, and as such you don't mind lying to try and further your own agenda? Because obviously if the Bible was as real as you claim it is, you'd be too afraid to lie, wouldn't you? So, this is a new segment of my video which I have very imaginatively named Stand Up You Lazy Turd and Read Out a Comment. And today's comment, the first one anyway, comes from Ernie Bodler, who recently purchased some merchandise to support me by buying merchandise. Thanks, Ernie. And the second comment is from Jeanette Javanowski, which I'm fairly sure I've said wrong, but the reason I want to read this one out is because she said I'm awesome. Thanks everyone, I had to sit back down. It could be you next time.
Do you think that the New Testament and its stories about Jesus could be made up?
I don't want to offend anyone or anything when I say this. I think that they were created.
They clearly didn't want to hear her answer, did they? They cut it off mid-sentence. Created by? Well, I guess we'll never know.
Plenty of people alive who would have known it was myth and who could have discredited any of those stories.
But is that what you think atheists are trying to do? Yeah, okay, you got me. But the only reason atheists do that is because you keep insisting that it's all real. And it pisses us off, big time. If there was any truth in the Bible, wouldn't some of the accounts written about in there also be in other historical documents? Wouldn't we have, for example, found some sort of remains of the Ark, maybe? Or the site of the alleged crucifixion of Christ? Maybe we'd find a rusty old nail laying on the ground or buried in the dirt. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Because most of the historical information we have today was discovered because there was evidence showing that it happened, which we discovered. For example, in 5,000 years' time, we will still know that the Titanic really sank, even though there will not be a single person who witnessed it still alive. And we will know because it'll probably be still at the bottom of the ocean.
The principle of embarrassment says this: it's highly improbable that an individual wanting to report a true event will concoct details of the story that make themselves or the main character look foolish.
Well, that makes it okay then, doesn't it? Obviously, we wouldn't want to embarrass people who've been dead for a very long time, would we? What a really stupid reason to claim the Bible is factual. And I thought I'd heard it all. Clearly not. You do realize that you can't find the principle of embarrassment anywhere apart from in biblical studies, don't you, John? Unless, of course, you can prove me wrong. Now, I spent a stupid amount of time looking this up, but I'm fairly confident that I'm right, and that all this is just another example of young earth creationists making shit up to try and back up their claims. Yeah, the Bible is true because it says in the Bible that it's not made up, because that would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Muppets.
And that's one of the reasons that we can believe that the gospel writers actually wrote it, because they included embarrassing details about themselves.
Nobody's saying that nobody wrote the Bible, are they? We know it didn't just poof into existence. Obviously someone wrote it, but as I said earlier on, somebody wrote all the other works of fiction that we have as well. The big difference is that there's nobody running around claiming that those works of fiction actually happened.
We read where the writers had serious lacks of faith, they had moral lapses, sometimes they could be downright stupid, and Jesus oftentimes would get exasperated.
How the hell do you know? Were you there? Did you meet them? Think about what you just said. You literally just claimed to know what the emotional state was of a figure that may or may not have existed over 2,000 years ago, and you wonder why people find it so hard to believe anything you say.
Third reason we can believe the Gospels is they were too costly to the writers. Every writer suffered a martyr's death. Now, it would be very likely that if a person knew that what they had written was untrue and were about to be sawn in two, or dumped into a pot of boiling oil, or crucified upside down, or any other number of horrific deaths, at least one of them would have said, "Time out, I just made all this up." Not a single writer did that.
I say again, how do you know? You're saying it as if you were there and witnessed it all firsthand. You weren't, and you didn't. Now, it seems to me that these two are making an awful lot of assumptions using the Bible as their proof for the existence of God, even though John Boy here said he wouldn't do that. And I know that makes me stupid for actually believing a young earth creationist, but I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I'm a nice guy.
Do you think it's likely for people to die for and give their whole life for a lie that they created and that they knew the whole time was false?
I definitely do not think that.
Oh yeah, that never happens, does it? No one has ever died over a really foolish belief, have they?
So after trying to prove that the Gospels are true, that's helpful for those 4 books. How does that have anything to do with the rest of the Bible?
Well, flip me, Joe, I was wondering exactly the same thing.
Well, we just established that what is in the Gospels is true. And the primary truth that is in the Gospels is that Jesus of Nazareth was the Son of God.
Ah, crap! I must have dozed off then, because I haven't heard you prove anything other than the fact that you think the Bible is the only proof of God's existence you need. You've let me down, John, and I don't want to go all dad on you, but I'm disappointed. I had such high hopes. And you, other guy whose name I can't remember, you haven't proved anything either, and I don't have the time, the patience, or the crayons to explain to you why.
Now, going forward, Jesus, the Son of God, commissioned certain people to write the remainder of the New Testament. And by the way, for the most part, these were the same writers who wrote the Gospels, or the Apostle Paul, who wrote much of it, was intimately familiar with those eyewitnesses, looking backwards to the Old Testament, looking forward to the rest of the New Testament. Because the Gospels are true, and because the Gospels claim Jesus was God, we can know the entire Bible is true.
So Jesus was a publishing agent? Come on. You promised us all that you were not gonna say that we know God is real because the Bible says he is. And then you've spent your entire video making reference to all the reasons in the Bible for God being real.
There are many other reasons to believe that the scriptures are reliable eyewitness accounts of actual historical events.
Okay, let's hear some then. I have no idea why you waited so long to give us this little nugget of information.
But these reasons alone should be enough. So why are there so many agnostics and atheists still traveling the wrong roadways?
But who says they're wrong? You? Who are you anyway? John? You're not the John, are you? As in Matthew, Mark, Luke and John? Maybe that's why you know all this stuff. You travel through time to make a video giving us all the reasons. Well, one reason anyway, why God is real. Because it says so in the Bible.
Once again, the Bible gives us the answer in a book called Romans. This Bible book says that we humans actually have something hardwired into us that informs us that God exists. So why do we suppress the most obvious truth in the universe?
Because it isn't true! And And until you can provide some sort of evidence to the contrary, it never will be accepted as true by anyone. Well, apart from the millions of people that do accept it for some bizarre reason. But you know what I mean.
Because we don't want to submit to God. We want to do our own thing without accountability. But hold up. If the Bible is the ultimate source of truth, then are all others wrong? Next on Road Trip to Truth.
Ooh, it's a series! Tidy! And it isn't about submitting to anyone. It's about not wanting to live in fear or under the control of a guy who, quite frankly, sounds like a bit of a dick. Now quickly, just before you go, don't forget, if you want to follow me outside YouTube, then I'm all over the Twitters, because yeah, I'm that cool. Or, if you want to chat with me in real time, when I can be bothered, obviously, then why not join my Discord server? It's all linked below, along with the many ways in which you can support the channel. Anyway, well, there is no anyway really, is there? Love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.